The Samsung Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360 epitomizes the adage "third time's a charm." The previous two ultra-slim convertibles laid a solid foundation for the company's laptop ambitions, and the third iteration pretty much knocked it out of the park. This begins with a slew of updates, the most notable of which are a 13th Gen Intel Core i7-1360p CPU and a 16-inch, 1610 display. The former provides a tasty performance boost, while the latter provides a larger canvas for productivity, all in a frame that is very similar in size, thinness, and weight to last year. If portability is important to you, the Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360 will be near the top of your list of the best 16-inch laptops to buy. There are a few issues that we will discuss, but first, let's look at what makes this notebook unique. The base model of the Samsung Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360 costs $1,399 and includes an Intel Core i7-1360p CPU, 16GB DDR5 RAM, and a 512GB SSD. If you pre-order now, you can double your storage capacity to 1TB for the same price. After this promotion expires, you will be charged $1,899 for the additional space. In terms of 16-inch laptops, that's surprisingly good value, with the closest competitor being the Huawei MateBook 16s, and it's only $200 more than the base M2 MacBook Air. I bring these up in comparison for a very specific reason that will become clear as we proceed. You'll be astounded once more by how thin the Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360 is, especially given the improvements. Don't get me wrong, it's a little thicker and heavier than the previous generation 360, but with the same dimensions elsewhere, it's strangely perplexing to hold a premium 16-inch laptop that's so light and thin. The same luxurious aluminum chassis greets you with an irresistibly upmarket feel. Weight distribution feels impressively balanced across the entire body. One significant aesthetic improvement is that whatever coating Samsung has applied to the body eliminates fingerprints. Not a single smudge appeared during my time using this beauty. All of this, of course, comes with very little branding, which is a huge plus in my book. When you open the lid, it's clear that the company knows a thing or two about strong hinges. That hinge keeps the display in a rock-solid position no matter how rigorously you poke the touchscreen or how violent your typing style is. Furthermore, this boosts confidence in the rigidity of putting it in tent or tablet mode. Taking these dimensions into account, you can see that Samsung has reduced the length while increasing the weight and thickness over the Book 2. In comparison, the Huawei MateBook 16s is a chungus, but the far smaller M2 MacBook Air is clearly going to be more portable. My only complaint about the design is that Samsung still refuses to provide a S Pen silo. Of course, you can magnetically attach it to the lid, but that doesn't solve the problem of keeping it secure within the frame. The stylus is far too easily misplaced. The port selection is limited, as it is with most ultra-portables, but it is adequate. 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports and HDMI 2.0 on the left, with a microSD card slot, USB Type-A 3.2, and a 3.5mm headphone jack on the right. This increases its versatility, but I would have preferred a full-size SD card slot and a couple more USB-C ports in this array. The screen is without a doubt the Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360's most prominent feature. Simply put, it is magnificent. The window to your work this year is a 16-inch, 3K AMOLED display with a 16:10 aspect ratio and a refresh rate of 120 Hz. That is a huge improvement over the Book 2 Pro's 15.6-inch 1080p panel, and the difference is noticeable. The increased height is fantastic for productivity, the increased sharpness gives everything a gorgeous fidelity, and the new generation of AMOLED technology provides a new luscious vividness. Our colorimeter confirmed this, with the Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360 panel covering 85.2% of the DCI P3 color gamut. Keeping that in mind, this easily outperforms the Huawei MateBook 16s, the M2 MacBook Air, and the premium laptop average. It's also worth noting that we're testing the Book 3 Pro 360 display in its stock configuration. You can change the mode to vivid or movie for a more vibrant appearance. Unfortunately, brightness remains one of the Book 3 Pro 360's shortcomings, with an average of 380.6 nits in our testing. Don't get me wrong, that model is brighter than last year's. We expected more from the M2 Air, which achieved 489 nits compared to the category average of 440 nits. This will be sufficient for most lighting conditions, but you may struggle a little when working in a bright outdoor environment. When it comes to providing a good typing and clicking experience, ultra-thin laptops are always a challenge. That has always been the case for the Galaxy Book Pro 360 line, but Samsung made some significant improvements that elevate this model head and shoulders above the competition. The chiclet keys, for example, have more noticeable travel to reduce any soreness associated with shallow boards, and keeping the number pad makes data entry a breeze. But first, let's talk about that massive touchpad. Seriously, it's enormous. It is 39% larger than the Book 2 Pro 360 and significantly larger than much of its competition, measuring 5.9 by 4.3 inches. The smooth surface allows you to glide across it with ease, and Windows 11 gestures are supported. Furthermore, if you require additional interaction, there is the capacitive touchscreen, which is extremely responsive to both fingers and the S Pen. I'm not an artist, but the virtually zero latency between pen and paper and the zippiness of this interaction show that this still delivers best-in-class touch performance. The Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360 ups the ante with a quad AKG tuned system that supports Dolby Atmos. Lower tones are much more present, but as you'd expect from thin laptops, it's still a flat experience. Nonetheless, I must commend the excellent definition of mid and high tones. Obviously, wireless headphones are required for the best audio experience. The 1080p webcam in the Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360 has received some software-based improvements since last year, which helps improve your image on video calls. However, the results are still a little rough. Well-lit locations still produce images with a fair amount of noise, and when the light drops, you're stuck with a mushy quality as the backend does its best to deal with the difficult conditions. If you require something more advanced, you will need to dip into your wallet and purchase an external webcam, but this will suffice for a quick video conference. Let's get into the technical stuff here, and why I'm comparing the MateBook 16S and the M2 MacBook Air. I want to see how far the 13th Gen Intel has progressed, and how it compares to a similar notebook chipset in the Air. The Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360 is powered by an Intel Core i7-1360p processor, 16GB DDR5 RAM, and a 512GB or 1TB SSD. In my personal use, I was able to do a lot of multitasking, including some heavy Photoshop work, without breaking a sweat or turning on the fans. Don't expect to play games or edit multiple streams of 4K video on this thing, but it will suffice for other productivity needs. The P-Series 13th Gen Intel Core i7 doesn't quite match the MateBook 16S's more powerful Intel Core i7-12700H, nor does it beat the M2 MacBook Air. Yes, the laptop feels fast in practice, and these figures indicate that Intel is getting closer to Apple Silicon, but this isn't the year they cross the line. Other extenuating factors, such as a lower TDP, could also be at work, but it's important to put this chip in context. It's quick, but not as quick as we'd like from a laptop at this price. The Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360 is better at keeping its cool as a result of some of these improved internals and better thermal management. The touchpad reached 27 degrees under stress, the keyboard reached 31 degrees, and the hottest area reached 33.5 degrees. Don't get me wrong, the MacBook Air has a superhuman ability to keep heat to a minimum and outperforms these numbers, but all of the above numbers are well below the 35-degree comfort threshold. What is the outcome of the larger display and slightly more powerful internals? The battery life suffers slightly. In our battery life test, which involves continuous web browsing over Wi-Fi at 150 nits of brightness, the Samsung Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360 lasted 7 hours and 46 minutes. This is a reduction from the Book 2 Pro 360's 11 hours and 59 minutes runtime, which is already less than the original's 13 hours and 34 minutes. This is also slower than the premium laptop average and the mighty M2 MacBook Air. Some of this is due to the stunning new 2.8K display on the Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360, but it's still disappointing to see it fall so far. Regardless of this setback, you'll still be able to get through the majority of the day on a single charge, which is impressive given the size and weight of this laptop. But, in my opinion, Samsung should not sacrifice any more battery juice next year. The Samsung Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360 comes with Windows 11, and aside from some Samsung apps that allow for seamless integration with devices like the Galaxy S23, that's about it. This is a significant departure from the Book3 Pro 360, which came preloaded with bloatware from McAfee, making the setup process much faster. The Galaxy Book3 Pro 360 is covered by a 1-year warranty. That brings us to the end of the story of what will be a difficult laptop to beat in the big screen ultra-portable space. The Samsung Galaxy Book3 Pro 360 has been updated in key areas such as display and CPU, while other components such as the keyboard, touchpad, and webcam have been improved to create an excellent laptop. Sure, we still don't have a place to store the S Pen in the laptop, the battery life isn't as long as we'd like, and the screen isn't as bright as we'd like. However, with impressive ergonomics and performance in a device this thin and light, this is an excellent addition to Samsung's lineup.